this computer. Okay, this is welcome to our program. This is a Topic Tuesday, which usually airs on the fourth Tuesday of every month and is brought to you by the Arab American Women's Business Council Small Business Development Committee. And we just want to encourage our audience that if you are an entrepreneur, a small business owner, and you're interested in us bringing a specific topic, please feel free to go on our website, AAWBC.org, and send us a message of what you would like to discuss. And we are more than happy to bring experts on to discuss the topic. Speaking of experts, I have a wonderful friend who I've known for several years. I've had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Mark Cory several years ago, and neither one of us will admit how long. So I would like to introduce Mark, who has over 40 years of business management experience. He has been an owner-operator of FranNet of Michigan since 2002, engaged in helping aspiring entrepreneurs select the right franchise business opportunity. And that is our topic today, I should have mentioned in the beginning, is franchising and whether it is an opportunity for you. The many clients that Mark has had in place over the years operate hundreds of franchise units, and several are top performers in their systems. Mark earned his BBA degree from the University of Michigan Dearborn and spent 3 years as a CPA, 20 years with Olympia Entertainment, which I did not know, where he attained the level of senior vice president. Mark is the owner of Michigan FranNet franchise. He also owned a second franchise, Little Caesars of Emporia in Kansas. So welcome, Mark. Thank you so much for taking the time to enlighten us on this very important topic. I know franchising provides an excellent opportunity for folks who are interested in getting in that. So do you want to start sharing your screen with us? And we will start the discussion. And what we will do is I will let you finish with your presentation, and then we will start a question and answer period. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jumana. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you giving me some time to share some information on franchising with your members. Give me 1 second here to make an adjustment. Okay. Just to give you an idea, what we're going to cover today in the next few minutes is helping you determine if franchise ownership could be a viable path worth exploring, and if there's a compelling reason for you to do so. Then if that's the case, to help you understand the array of franchise options available today and how to strategically go about finding the right fit. I do a monthly seminar called Franchising as a Career and Investment, or both, which I entitled today's seminar as well. It's much more in-depth, so this is kind of the Reader's Digest version of that. Before I tell you what we do at FranNet, I prefer to tell you why we do it, because I think that's more important. We do this because we know business ownership and/or franchising is definitely not for everyone. It's a big, fearful decision, and people need help managing that fear in order to be able to move forward in getting what they want. We think people need a safer, methodical, systematic approach to finding and selecting the right fit. And we think people should explore some different options before making a final decision. And we believe that serious and qualified candidates should have our help for free, so there's no cost for our services. It's a free consulting service. FranNet is a group of franchise specialists. We're a franchise system ourselves. I have the franchise rights for the state of Michigan, and I have 2 associates that work with me here. And we provide localized consulting for people who are looking to make a transition into a new career as a business owner, or maybe they're looking to do something in addition to their day job or other business. We have relationships with over 250 pre-screened franchise companies in a variety of industries and investment levels. And with a proprietary online assessment tool, we call that the Entrepreneur Profile, in a face-to-face consultation, which we generally do via Zoom now, we work with our clients to craft what is called a business model, kind of a snapshot of their ideal business, given their key criteria, their goals, their preferences, their transferable skills, management style, budget, and so forth. Then we'll match that model up with usually 2, 3, 4 different options that look like they best fit. We make the introductions to the franchisors, and we coach our clients through the investigation process, staying with them by phone on a weekly basis to make sure they're getting the facts and the answers they need from the right people, and there's no breakdown in communication till they get to the finish line and can make an informed decision. If after thorough due diligence, they ultimately decide to invest in one of those franchises, we're compensated by the franchisor. So there's no cost to the people that are looking. As I said, it's a free consulting service. FranNet has had a longstanding relationship with the U.S. Small Business Administration since our inception way back in 1987. When we had national alliances with the SCORE Counselors of America and the Small Business Development Centers across the country. And in the past 35 years, we've assisted many thousands of people transition into business ownership. I'm not going to go through this. Jumana read my bio, but I just want to point out that I have owned 2 franchises. One that I'm currently operating, FranNet in Michigan, going on 20 years now. And back in 2010, I invested with my brother, who had worked for Little Caesars corporately for about 17 years and was working in the Kansas City market. He decided he wanted to become a franchisee, and he was the operating partner. So I had no role in the day-to-day operations, but that was more of an investment for me. Again, franchising can be a career, an investment, or both. We were able to sell that in 2019, but it worked out well for the 2 of us over those 8, 9 years. You know, all of that biographical stuff, that's all fluffy stuff that makes people like my mother proud. But the one thing I would like you to remember about me after today's session are the words that I try to live by, that you can have everything you want if you help enough other people get exactly what they want. And that's basically what we do at FranNet. We help people get what they want. Occasionally we even get paid for it, and that makes it extra special. But over the last 20 years, I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of wonderful individuals, couples, families, many of whom have gone on to find the right franchise fit with my help. Others, and this is the majority of the cases, to be honest with you, decide at some point it's not going to work for whatever reason, or the timing isn't right. And that's okay. At least they gave it a shot, and they don't have to look back and wonder. Here are some of the reasons, those compelling reasons that our clients give us for wanting to start a business or add a business to their portfolio. Maybe they're working for someone currently and experiencing career pains. They're out looking for a job and finding they're a victim of age discrimination in the market. They're tired of just trading their hours for dollars, knowing that when they stop working, the money stops. So they want to get something going that maybe can provide some ongoing cash flow that won't require their full-time day-to-day involvement. We work with existing business owners who want to diversify or put a family member in business, or maybe they just sold the business or taken an early retirement. They still need some continued cash flow or intellectual stimulation, or both. And the last few years, we've seen a lot of younger folks, millennials, come to us with an interest in getting into their own business. And many of them have gone forward with franchises. They don't see the corporate world as the long-term solution to providing the type of income potential and the lifestyle that they want to have. So if you could confirm that you have the skills necessary to be successful in at least one, but probably many different businesses, reduce the risk to an acceptable level for you, find a business that's affordable, and in a few minutes you'll see there's a wide range of investment levels, and get the help you need, would you be willing to look? And that's really where it all begins, is with a willingness and commitment to look. We talk a lot about strategizing. We want to make this as safe as possible for people, make sure they're thinking about their entry and long-term operating strategies, and even looking ahead to the end game or the exit strategy at the time you're choosing a business, because your goals as they relate to how long you think you might want to be in it, what you may want to do with it at the time you want to retire or ease off. For example, will you be handing it down to a family member? Will you want to continue as an absentee owner? Or will you want to cash out and sell it? And if so, who might your buyer be? That type of criteria is important to get down on paper as part of your business model when you begin the search, because it could very well impact the type of business you choose. With franchising, the likelihood of having a qualified and willing buyer at the time you want to exit increases, because there are other franchisees in your area that might be looking to expand. Our Little Caesars is an example of that. We sold to a company that owns 80 some Little Caesars around the country. They were in expansion mode looking in our region, and they came along and made us an offer. For a lot of reasons, it was a good time for us to exit. So that worked out real well. And they were already pre-qualified by the franchisor because they had been in the system with multiple units for many years. FranNet takes a unique approach to guiding clients through the strategic search. With our online assessment tool and our face-to-face consultations, we ask a ton of questions to make sure we're understanding your goals and preferences and key criteria. Then we'll focus on the best possible companies out of the 250 we work with and get it down to a handful for you to research. And we provide coaching throughout the process and help you follow our proven step-by-step research system. And we give our clients lots of information about how to go about the search. The four-step plan basically is interviewing the franchisor, getting all the basic information from them on the concept, interviewing lots of franchisees. That's really where you get a sense of what it's like to be part of the system. We give you sample questions to ask. If you're thinking this is the one for you, it's a good idea to visit the corporate headquarters. They usually call it a discovery day or meet the team day to put the finishing touches on. And a lot of those are being done virtually these days. And then just getting additional professional help when you're about to sign the document, maybe having a franchise attorney review it to make sure you understand what you're getting involved in, having an accountant review your pro formas, and some of you may be qualified to do that yourself. And you're probably already talking to professionals that can help you on the funding side as well. Just to give you an idea of the breadth of this industry known as franchising, the International Franchise Association reports there are over 700,000 operating units in the country, about 23,000 here in Michigan. They're creating millions of jobs. A recent poll of Michigan residents showed that 80% had a favorable view of family-owned franchise businesses in their neighborhoods. The last two items are from our own observations internally and a survey that we did. We're seeing here in Michigan that more and more of our clients, once they've identified the right franchise for them, are committing to multi-unit development, which tells you they're bullish on the Michigan economy. And our company wanted to get some hard facts because people ask about success or failure rates in small business or franchising. And they're really entering any reliable statistics out there. So we went directly to people that we knew, people that we had placed in franchise businesses during the Great Recession, basically, 2006 to 2010, and found that 91% were still in business after 2 years and 85% after 5 years, which may be the opposite of some of the horror stories you might have heard out there about 80% of the startups being gone within 5 years. Well, this, I think our results speak to a few things, not the least of which is the franchise model in general, which tends to be a safer approach. But also the strategic search process that we put our clients through to help them determine, number one, if they should even be considering a business. And then number two, if they're qualified and have the right motivation and that compelling reason, then how to go about the step-by-step process of strategically finding the right one and conducting proper research. There are different ways to get into franchising. These are the four basic points of entry. The majority of people are planning to run their business full-time initially, and they want to start with one unit, single unit owner operator, and see how it goes. But I do work with people that have day jobs or other businesses. They can't run a business full-time. So they're looking for a semi-absentee model. There are some good ones out there. It does limit the choices somewhat, but there are some good models out there where you hire a manager from day one to run the business full time, while you manage the manager and work on the business as opposed to in it. Others come to the table, and as I said, we're seeing more and more of this lately, knowing that one unit is not going to be enough, so they want to lock up an area or a region where they can open multiple units over a period of time. And then the last bullet point there is quite rare. There aren't too many that offer this, but we work with a few that do have what is known as sometimes a master franchise or regional developer or area developer contract, where you step into more of a franchisor role than a franchisee, and ultimately help the franchisor develop the region and bring in new unit franchisees, and actually share in the royalties and the upfront fees that those franchisees will be paying. The last number I heard was like 3,800 different concepts out there. It's absolutely mind-boggling. These are the 6 basic categories, and there are tons of subcategories within each of those. In the latter 3, many of those do not require a retail facility. Some of them, many of them, can be home or office based, so they tend to fall into the lower end of the investment range. Lowering risk is on everybody's mind. We encourage people to get to a risk level that they can tolerate, and one way to do that is to identify businesses that have specific market characteristics which will allow them to thrive under varying economic conditions. Here are some of the things that we've been seeing even through the pandemic. Businesses that have been able to survive shutdowns and ups and downs with the economy. In-home health and senior care, definitely an essential service. Commercial cleaning and sanitation is more important than ever. Exterior maintenance, where you're not even coming in contact with the people that are providing the service. I'm watching a new roof being put on, even in the snow here at my neighbor's house as we speak. Homes are still changing hands, so inspection services are required. With so many people now working remotely or from home, outsourced IT services and digital marketing are more important than ever. Sign manufacturing is an age-old business that has just been steady throughout the centuries, and even more signs were required during the pandemic for obvious reasons. Pet care. A lot of people added pets during the pandemic, but it's a category that's been growing ever since I've been in this business, year after year after year. Other resilient industries, residential cleaning bounced back after a few months of the recession or the pandemic. Restoration, home improvement is booming right now. Junk removal. People are spending more time in their home. They want to declutter and beautify their homes. Care is another steady category. Meal planning is a sector of the restaurant industry that has done well during the pandemic. Starting a new unit of a franchise means that you're going to be acquiring a license from the franchisor to use the name and trademarks of their company. They're going to provide you with initial training and ongoing support to help you start and stay in business. You get the rights to distribute certain products or services, access to their business systems. Then in exchange for all of those wonderful features and benefits, you're going to pay an initial franchise fee and ongoing royalties. The initial fee is a flat amount. Could range from $10,000 on up to tens of thousands. The typical range today for a single unit is about $20,000 to $60,000. The ongoing royalties are usually a percentage of gross revenue. 4 to 10% is the common range. I've seen higher, I've seen lower. You got to analyze that in light of the overall operating pro forma for that business. Burning question, how much does it cost? This Fran data survey was taken a couple of years ago, but I think it's still relevant based on what I've been seeing. About 20% of the franchises surveyed had a total investment of $100,000 or less. Now, the vast majority, if not all of those, are going to be home or office-based businesses. Once you start getting into anything requiring a retail facility, you're going to be probably looking at $150,000 and above, and sometimes it could be a few hundred or several $100,000 for a retail type franchise. At FranNet, we try to have as many options in the lower end of the range as possible. So we've got a lot of concepts we work with that are in the $50,000 to $250,000 range. How much do you really need? This is the financing piece. Commercial lending could be available to you. A small business loan may be guaranteed by the SBA, but you still have to have at least 20% of the total investment in the form of your own money, the down payment. Some other options, if the business requires equipment or say vehicles, the franchisor might have leasing programs set up with third parties they can introduce you to. Once or twice a year, I have a client use a home equity line of credit. It's quicker and cheaper than a commercial loan. So they might use that for all or part of their investment. Friends or family, always options. I shouldn't say always options. Occasionally there are options to help you get started. If you have a non-retirement portfolio of stocks and bonds, you may have the option of borrowing against that at favorable terms. And one of the most common forms now of small business funding is the penalty-free, tax-free, and debt-free use of 401k or IRA funds to capitalize a business. And this is perfectly legitimate if it's done the right way. A lot of my clients use that. And if you'd like more information on how to go about that, feel free to contact me and I can get you some information. Franchising works because it's a proven systematic approach to starting and staying in business. It's a tool of risk management, reducing the risk of business ownership to an acceptable level by leveraging the experience and collective wisdom of this franchise company. Oftentimes, these franchises are fairly easy to replicate. They're not real complicated businesses. Name recognition is often one of the benefits that you're getting, but it doesn't apply to every category. If it's business to business, name recognition is not a big factor. Purchasing power, helping franchisees keep their operating costs to a minimum. Training, ongoing support to help you start and stay in business. The marketing expertise is huge that you'll be provided with. And you're going to meet and become friends with other franchisees in the system that provide additional advice and counsel. I don't think a week goes by that I don't talk to one of my colleagues somewhere in the country within FranNet. My brother was always comparing notes with other Little Caesars franchisees. So it's like being part of a family. How can you make franchising work for you as it has for tens of thousands of others over the years? Start by creating this model of your ideal business. And that's what I help people do. Identify the businesses that best align with the model and do the research, which I coach my clients through to make sure you're selecting the right one. Next steps, if you think that you might want to conduct a strategic franchise search with my help, would be to complete your entrepreneur profile. That web address will take you right to the form. And then I would schedule a time to discuss the results with you. It provides a nice narrative report that I'll share, and we'll make a mutual decision as to whether it makes sense to set up a consultation and begin the search process. If we do that, we suggest that all decision makers, that spouses or family members, be present for that. We'll build that model together and talk about specific franchises that best align and will help you achieve your goals. And then you begin the investigation process with my ongoing coaching.
Hey, Mark.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to stop you there for a second. And I have, just for the sake of time, I want to ask several questions and just start a discussion on the topic that, this amazing topic that you just suggested. So
Absolutely.
if you want to just stop sharing, that would be awesome.
Okay.
So I do have some questions. So back, you mentioned on one of your slides that you need to confirm that you have the skill set necessary for a successful franchise. How do you confirm that you have the skill set?
Everyone's got transferable skills that they're bringing from past employment or
Okay.
business ownership. So those are some of the things we take into account when we build that model. And then we match it with the types of franchises that can best leverage those transferable skills. And that doesn't mean that you have industry experience or knowledge of that particular business. That is rarely required. But franchise
that's my next question is experience. Let's say I want to go into Tim Hortons franchise. I have lots of business experience. I have leadership experience. I have financial experience. I have no experience whatsoever with food. Would I qualify for everything else being equal? Would I qualify? I mean, don't I need some experience with how to deal with food? I mean, food is a highly perishable item.
Mm-hmm. Generally not. There probably are some food concepts that are just looking for multi-unit owners that have prior experience. Maybe they already own multiple franchises of another brand. But there are also a lot of food concepts that will take people from outside of the food industry, provided they have management skills, people skills. They're good with numbers and analyzing financial statements.
So there's basic strong management skills that are really critical to going into a franchise. You don't need necessarily experience in that specific field, but you should have some strong skill set behind you. You mentioned the cost and the royalties. Are either one of them negotiable?
The upfront franchise fee and the ongoing royalties are non-negotiable. Everybody pays the same thing.
Okay. What is the downfall of owning a franchise? We know the upside is you can make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
What's the downfall? To me, my main concern about a franchise is I owe somebody some money every single month, but you mentioned that the royalties are tied to sales. So I'm assuming that if there's no sales, there's no royalties, but that always scares me. So can you talk about that and talk about what are some of the downfalls of franchising?
You hit the nail on the head. Two downfalls: royalties and rules. You're going to be sharing a percentage of particularly your gross revenue with the franchisor. And that's hard to take for a lot of people. And I tell my clients the only reason that anybody in their right mind would agree to pay that royalty, not to mention the upfront fee, is that they think what they're going to get from that is something that they couldn't get on their own. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a benefit to that would not be available to them otherwise, and they can get what they want out of the business, despite what the franchisor is getting.
I have a lot of experience with franchising with hotels and in the hospitality business.
Okay.
And what I have learned is branding is very important. And about every 7 to 12 years, hotels have to go through this whole re-imaging just to keep the name of the hotel, the flag, the Marriotts, the Holiday Inns, the Hiltons. And that is a cost on the owner of the franchise. The company doesn't participate in that. Do a lot of the franchise requirements, I guess what I'm asking is how important is branding in some of these things, because that is a cost that the franchisee is going to bear.
Mm-hmm. For consumer services like that, it's pretty important in a lot of cases. Fast food category, restaurant category, the hotel category. That's a big part of their marketing push, is the branding, the name recognition. And you're absolutely right. There may be a provision in your franchise agreement that says the franchisor can require a rebranding or a remodel every so many years up to a certain dollar amount. We had to do that with our Little Caesars.
And it
We
can
wasn't
be,
that old when we had to remodel.
it can be very expensive. I mean, like I said, I see it on the hospitality side, and it's intense, and you can lose the franchise if you don't undertake the upgrading of the brand. And I just wanted to bring that forward to people, that if you are considering going into a franchise, keep in mind that branding is very important to the companies, and they will require you to upgrade and maintain a certain image at your cost.
Right.
As a franchisee, you mentioned that you have a relationship with SBA. If I go into a franchise of whatever kind, would I qualify for an SBA loan? I mean, is that
possibly?
okay?
There's a lot of criteria they take into account. It's a little more stringent now than it was prior to the Great Recession, but they'll take into account a number of criteria, not the least of which is your own personal credit score, how much collateral you have, not only in the business, but personal collateral.
Personal collateral is important, not just, I mean, as long as, if the franchise says, the fee is $50,000 to get in, they also are concerned about my personal financing.
If you're financing through a bank, yeah, those are the bank requirements that
Oh, okay, I misunderstood. Is the franchisor concerned about my personal financing, my personal assets, my personal debts?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have minimum net worth and liquidity requirements
Okay.
to even consider you for a franchise. So if you don't meet those, most likely they won't even start talking to you. That's why our assessment form has a personal financial statement as part of it. So we can get our clients looking at franchises that are within their scope financially.
You said that recently you've seen a lot of millennials coming into the franchise world. And I know in this, the great resignation that's going on right now, what fields are becoming most popular in terms of franchising these days? Is there any specific?
Yes, several of the ones that I showed on the list there. Since the pandemic started, I placed 3 clients in commercial cleaning franchises. I placed several in home improvement type franchises or home repairs. 2 with recently with a company called Mr. Appliance. They do appliance repair. Tomorrow I'm going to have a franchise here at my house called Dryer Vent Wizard. All of a sudden the ductwork came apart on the dryer. So, when you need them, you need them. You don't question it. You call.
Another question. I know as a small business owner that, there's 50% chance that the first 2 years, at least these are SBA numbers, 50% chance that you'll go under within the first 2 years, and then 50% chance of the leftover 50% you'll go under in 5 years. Are there any statistics with respect to franchising? I mean, what's the success rate in going in? How long does it really take to get on its feet? I mean, these things are businesses that you and I both know take many years to build.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any statistics that I've heard on franchising, and I don't put a lot of stock in them, but are basically like opposite of what you've heard about, say, independent businesses where, half of them are going to be gone within a few years. The only one I put stock in is what I showed on the screen there, because that information came from people that we knew personally, people that we placed in franchise businesses. We went back to our clients, and it's kind of in line with some of the other surveys or statistics I've seen about the franchise success rates, where, within a couple of years, about 90% are still in business and 85%, 85% after 5 years.
So the success rate with franchising is higher than the success rate of trying it on your own, is what I'm hearing.
Yes. Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense because you have the giant brand behind you, helping you along rather than you trying to do it on your own.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you mentioned something that you have a monthly seminar that you do.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Same title as today, Franchising as a Career and Investment or Both. And I go into a lot more detail. I talk more about the research process. The next one coming up is February 10th.
How often do you do
once a month, usually the second Thursday of the month.
The second Thursday, and then what time?
10 a.m.
10 a.m. and it goes till 11?
11.
And how do we sign up for that?
You can email me, mcory@frannet, frannet.com.
Okay.
Or go to frannet.com/mcory, MCORY. That's my page on the Frannet website, and you can click on events, click on local events, and register there.
That's awesome.
If anybody wants to subscribe to my newsletter that I send 3 times a month, the latest upcoming events are there, and there's registration links.
So if they want to receive your newsletter, they can email you?
Yep.
Okay, can you give us your email slower again, please?
Sure. Amazon Mark, CORY @Frannet, F as in Frank, RANNET.com.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
This has been very interesting, and I've always been fascinated with franchise agreements. I've seen several, and it scares me. But I guess if you want to make an investment, it's certainly the success rate is much higher than trying to do it on your own. Is there anything else you want to tell our listeners before we sign off?
Keep in mind that franchising has different points of entry. And for those that already, I'm sure some of your listeners already have businesses. If they have a need to diversify or maybe go into a different business, it might be something to consider. If they have a day job and can't run a business full time, there are semi-absentee opportunities as well. So those that think there might not be a fit, may be pleasantly surprised when they find out about all the different options available. I'm happy to discuss that one-on-one. If somebody wants to call, my number is 313-821-5060.
Can you repeat that number for us, please?
313-821-5060.
Awesome. Mark, I want to thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. We do have a lot of millennials that will be listening to this, and it's a good educational tool for them. And like you said, you never know what opportunity is there unless you start talking about it. And it's good to know that your services are free and that you're able to help position applicants into that world. So on behalf of the Arab American Women's Business Council, I want to thank you. I want to remind our audience that this is brought to you by the Arab American Women's Business Council, Small Business Development Committee. We air topics on the 4th Tuesday of every month. And if you are interested in any kind of a topic regarding entrepreneurship or small business ownership, please email us and let us know what you need help with. And we're always happy to bring on an expert, such as our friend today, Mark, to discuss it. So Mark, thank you again so much for helping us out.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.